So, Loki Season 1. Marvel, what happened? So, I'm not going to tell you that I loved it, but I'm not going to tell you that I completely hated it either. And I will try to keep the specifics to a minimum, because in my head, Marvel spoilers are the worst crime you can commit. So, bear with me. Okay, so I think it's safe to say that most of us who were watching the show knew the point of it was to create the multiverse, and to introduce us to our next big Marvel villain. Right? So most of us who were watching the show already knew that. I mean, honestly, if you're watching one of the Marvel shows, it's probably not as a recreational viewer. So tell me why we spent the whole show just waiting for those two things. It was like a precedent that those two things were going to happen. Even if you hadn't heard any rumors from episode 1, that was kind of the deal. So my point is, the show spent so much time building instead of just kind of cutting to the chase. I mean, seriously. Episode 2 and episode 5, if you wanted to look up filler in the dictionary, they might be there. And believe me, I see the value of these episodes and what they did for world building. I just wish that Marvel would have trusted audiences more to believe that they already had these worlds set up and didn't need to force feed them to us. And the show started off in a good place. Episode 1 had us all set up for the mystery and lore of the TVA, and going through the whole variant idea. And then they dropped the ball and just kept stalling. It felt like we would learn one useful piece of information in episode, after sitting through like 45 to 50 minutes of it. And if you ask me about—
Which nobody did.
Anyway, as I was saying, the show could have been way condensed. Hypothetically going episode 1, episode 4, and then episode 6. Filling in all the useful information from the other episodes as they see fit. Last week, I talked about the whole building block nature of all of these shows. Their main purpose is setup, or to make the superfans giddy with a Easter egg here or a subtle nod there. But in doing all of this, they forget that the main purpose of a television show is that it can stand on its own. Without the next movies in the MCU to follow it, what would be the main backbone of this show? The next villain in the MCU is definitely going to be a fun one. I like their personality, if only one version of it. And by the look of everything in episode 6, everything to come is definitely going to be a major mind melt. But the problem is, Marvel didn't have to jerk me around for me to get excited. I was already excited. I mean, come on. I was waiting for 2 years, for crying out loud. I am plenty of excited. The fun of knowing what's already going to happen is watching it play out and getting to be surprised by it. This show, aside from 1 or 2 things, played out pretty much exactly how you would expect. Miss Minutes, the idea of variants, and the new villain are crazy cool characters that I wish they would have explored a little more deeply. We were definitely given glimpses, but I would have appreciated full stories. But hopefully that's what the future holds, because season 2 is inevitable. And just like the next movies in the MCU, it is burdened with glorious purpose. So, for all time, always. This is Tiana Elise, signing out.